How many times have I told y'all? The right does not want you to vote. They don't want you to vote with ballot drop boxes. They don't want you to vote absentee. They don't want you to vote early. They don't want you to vote by mail. And now, this right-wing Supreme Court has chosen to take up a case out of Mississippi that deals with the very issue of mail-in balloting. Yeah, this is real. They are taking up a lawsuit to decide whether states can keep counting mail ballots that arrive after Election Day, a process Donald Trump has loudly condemned. The case stems from Mississippi, where Trump-appointed judges ruled the state's post-Election Day ballot law violates a federal statute. 18 states and D.C. currently allow late-arriving ballots if they are postmarked by Election Day, including battlegrounds like Nevada and places like Oregon and Colorado. A ruling is expected by June, just months before the 2026 midterms, and it could reshape how millions of votes are counted. Now, remember, I told y'all, Paul Weyrich, one of the founders of the Moral Majority, founder of the Heritage Foundation, he gave a speech in Dallas in 1981 where he made it clear where they stand when it comes to everyone voting.
Now, many of our Christians have what I call the goo-goo syndrome. Good government. They want everybody to vote. I don't want everybody to vote. Elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of our country, and they are not now. As a matter of fact, our leverage in the elections, quite candidly, goes up as the voting populace goes down.
See, Trump is still pissed off because in 2016, the judges in Pennsylvania allowed those ballots to be counted. In fact, these people are so awful, Nyambi, that they don't give a damn if military votes come in late. They're like, yeah, don't even count them as well. Their goal is very simple. If we could freeze out as many people as possible, we have a better shot at winning. Republicans have been on record as saying that if fewer people vote, we win.
Mississippi as well as many other places, because we know what this has done, what mail-in ballots have done to bringing more people into the electoral process, especially folks who live in rural communities. We know what it does for indigenous folks who live in reservations, right? The fact that they don't have to travel as far, they don't have to wait in those long lines. It makes it a more attractive option to participate. Well, they know if they take this away, those people are less likely to show up. That's what the research shows. That's what they know. And that's what they've been banking on for a really long time, because they know that their share of the national voting population is less than, say, people who are more left-leaning. I'm not going to say necessarily Democrat. And so if they can push out low propensity voters, including some of their own, right? There are going to be people who would vote for Republicans otherwise if they had this means available to them. They're okay giving up those few if they can give up the many that are going to be a challenge to them, not just in Mississippi, but Mississippi and other states like it. And so they know exactly what they're doing. They know why wait times are disproportionate in our communities. They know why redrawing the maps in the on years, but also now in these mid years, these off years are so essential to them being able to hold on to national prominence and state level majorities. So it's not surprising to me that they would come for mail-in ballots. I'm not surprised that the Supreme Court is going to hear this case either, because I think the Supreme Court has made it very clear to us in so many ways that they don't see voting as a right. And they certainly don't see it as something that should be preserved or expanded. for the vast majority of eligible American voters.
I'm telling you, I need people to understand. They just don't oppose, Tylik, the votes being cast or the votes being counted post, because they say, 3 to 5 days after the election. No, what they meant by the law is that you only vote on election day. Okay, that's their particular argument. Okay, but they don't even want that. They want to get rid of mail-in voting.
They know our power, and I think they're terrified of it. But we know that we've already been through poll taxes, we've been through literacy tests, intimidation, and yet here we are. And I think every year it's a new way of trying to figure out how to keep us from the poll. But I think that every law, every policy, and every court case that is designed to send a message to restrict voting is really a clear sign that they're fearful. They're fearful about us, and I think it is an even bigger sign to say that every ballot we cast, every vote you take, is a form of resistance. And I think it shows why it's so important to show up. They're working overtime to make sure that you can't vote. And I think even if you look at Mississippi, their black population, I think, is what 38% or so, 40%. They continue to carry the backbone of Mississippi, and so I think they're just trying to turn it really, really red. But I think our resistance is still showing up.
Mm-hmm.
It is crazy to me, Ome Congo, that people don't understand what's at play here. These folks, they do not want more Americans voting next year. They do not want it. They will put up every single roadblock and barrier to do so. And now they have a Supreme Court who will sit here and rubber stamp as much of their agenda as possible.
Yeah, they don't want us voting, just like they don't want folks to have health care. And we have to understand, as you talk about on the show regularly, that this is a full-on assault on voting rights in the United States. And they are doing it from every single way they can do it, whether we're talking about the mail-in ballots, whether we're talking about redistricting, whether we're talking about the mass purges that they have on voter rolls. This is why I often say, particularly with the last election, the elections were free, but they weren't fair. I mean, you've had Palace on your show who talked about all of these different voter suppression efforts cost Kamala anywhere around 3 million votes. I mean, there are so many stories out there about voter suppression efforts. And we know, I mean, the Honorable John Lewis was protesting John Roberts' nomination to the Supreme Court way back in the day because of his anti-voting rights mindset. And so the sooner people get on the good foot as it relates to this, we can make some more progress. When you see what Gavin Newsom is doing, you know, that's powerful. Many of these elections that were won in Virginia and New Jersey and other places, we're going to need, you know, the governors to be able to make sure that their elections are running freely and fairly as well. You also have these voting machine companies that are being bought by people who are Republican or MAGA adjacent. And so we have to understand that every single level, it is being attacked. And that means at every single level, people need to be continuing to do what they're doing. The work that we're doing and working with Black Voters Matter, the list goes on and on. We can never let up. Every single day, they are going to try a new way to make sure that people can vote. And that clip that you played from 1981, Roland, I never saw that. But people need to see that regularly as well, because just like abortion, just like with a woman's right to choose, when Roe v. Wade was passed way back when, every single year since it was passed, they fought. They would march down in the Washington Monument or whatever. If there was 10 people, they never give up. And they are never going to give up on this voting right. And that clip is an example of what they're doing today. And so we have to continue this fight, because if not, they're already working to sabotage the 2026 elections. Lastly, Roland, this is a guy in Trump at Mar-a-Lago who plays videos for his staff to watch that says he won in 2020. There's like music videos that they got to watch that he even won then. They're trying to do everything to not only suppress votes and win future votes, but even claim the votes and elections that they lost in the past. It's insane, but we can't get up the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, I just need people to understand what is at play here. What these people want to do is they want to shut down all voting. That's what they want. They don't want us voting. It's pure and simple. They don't want us voting. And they will do everything possible, everything in their arsenal to stop us from voting.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.